everyone, welcome back to our humble abode. It's day 5, Sunday. It's like 9:30 at night. We're real tired, but we figure we tell you about our day and a little bit about last night, yesterday. And then we're going to bed. And then it's going to get cold tonight. So it'll be fun. Today was a long day.
Start with yesterday.
Yesterday was a long day.
Yesterday we had to cross through a lot of lakes.
A lot of lakes.
Lakes are kind of exhausting.
Because there's no current, and you're usually fighting the wind, and...
Which there was a lot of yesterday.
And today, and probably tomorrow. But we had intended to go from... Where did we camp?
Stump Lake?
Stump Lake? Maybe? All the way down into Stony Point, which is in Cass Lake, which probably would have worked if it wasn't so windy. On Wolf Lake, we buggered up the navigation a little bit and went pretty much a mile out of the way with the wind. So when we figured out we made a mistake, we had to go about a mile into the wind. And it was really windy. I mean, a good probably 1.5 2 foot seas. And you're just paddling and paddling, and if you stop paddling, you go backwards. So we did that, and then had a little bit more of the river, and then we got to the north side of Cass Lake, and the wind was just still like 14, 16 miles an hour.
And we had several points we would have to go around, and we'd be in the wind almost the whole time. So we came up with a contingency plan that everyone was good with. So we ended up going over to a place called Sunset Cove Resort. They're over there on the north side of Cass Lake, and we talked to the guys there, and they were willing to let us just leave our canoe on their beach overnight, no charge or anything. Because we already had reservations at Stony Creek for the campground for the night, and so we were able to leave our canoe there and take our gear and the kayak that we were going to be returning with us to our campsite.
And we bought alcohol. It was a delicious Malibu and Coke.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the best I've had. I mean, it was horribly mixed, but it didn't matter at that point. It was just amazing.
I thought it was delicious.
It was delicious, actually, but...
we got laundry done at our once we got over to our campground. Got a fire started, did a lot of reorganization, because again we were getting back to the truck. That was kind of
our staging,
the whole point of that. So we took a bunch of more of our food and toiletries and everything that we needed out of staging, and then all of Rachel's mom's stuff that we were no longer going to need went into the truck. And anyways, we had a lot of kind of logistical things to deal with yesterday.
And we showered in the morning. No, that was this morning. It was good.
Yeah.
And then today we started pretty early, at like 6, because we had to get going. We wanted to be on the water like around 8 so that we could beat most of the wind. Because the wind wasn't supposed to really pick up until...
11-ish.
Yeah, 11-ish. So we wanted to get as much of the lake done as we could. Because we were going to skirt the north side up and around so that we could be kind of protected by the wind instead of going down and around. And... we checked out. We had to go somewhere else for breakfast, but it turned out to be a great place. A little hole-in-the-wall diner. It was delicious.
371 Cafe.
Yep.
In case you're ever in the area.
In Cass Lake. Very cute.
Inexpensive.
Yeah, really good food.
Coffee was 75 cents. Let's be real.
You can't go wrong with that.
It was good.
And we went back up to Sunset Cove, loaded up the boat, said our goodbyes to Mom. She took my truck and the rental kayak back to Clearwater. She caught a shuttle to Minneapolis and flew home. She's probably there by now. She said most of the trip was fine. We were on the water by about 8:30, 8:45, and we spent the next...
Until we didn't get off the water till like 2 off the lake.
Yeah.
I think it was 2 o'clock by the time we finally got through Cass Lake.
So what is that? 5 and change, with winds consistently at 10 to 12 miles an hour.
And some breaks. in between. That wasn't straight paddling.
There were a few breaks. We had morning coffee, and I dawdled, and it was sunny for the first time ever, so we had to enjoy it.
Yeah, we put on lots of sunscreen. The tans are starting. I don't think you can tell, but
Yeah, it's bad
like,
lighting.
The front part of my fingers are a lot lighter than like the rest of my hand.
I have a clip somewhere. I think it's on the GoPro of me lathering up for one out of how many
Can you
ever.
see that one? No, you can't. You can't quite see it in this lighting, but eventually it'll become so pronounced that it won't matter.
We did a little bit more in the river. It was 12 miles on the river.
12 and a half.
12 and a half. We saw so many things. We had...
Well, tell them about the Cass Lake portage. Okay, so we had a portage at Cass Lake. That was the first one
yeah.
where we just had the one boat, the canoe, and it was just Rachel and I. And we met the hosts of the campground there, the Cass Lake campground. It was George and Louise, and they were so pleasant.
They were.
We dropped off one of Rachel's business cards, or, just cards that has the website, and told them about what we were raising money for or in awareness
and
for.
Chocolates.
And gave them some of our chocolates, and they offered us some wine, and so I said, yes. And so we were already planning to take a little bit of a lunch break before loading back up the canoe and continuing down the river. So we took
nice.
our break with them and got to talk to them for a little bit. Heard about some of the crazy paddlers that have come through before us already this season. Just loaded down and really unprepared for the weather. Like wearing jeans on the river that get soaked and never get dry. So, or, just someone who had so much stuff that it took them a full day to do the portage.
And it took us 4 trips.
Yeah. It probably took us less than an hour, and then we talked.
Oh yeah, and then we dawdled. Yeah.
So anyways, it was really nice to talk to them, and they told us about another campground that was going to be coming up. That's actually where we are tonight, off of the western side of Lake Winnie. And they told us who the host was here, Les, and kind of pointed us in the right direction and tried to connect us with him. So that really worked out well. More on that later in the story. So yeah, the portage.
Portage went well. And then we did almost the full 12 in the river. And
I
fought
really
the wind.
needed a bathroom.
So we happened upon a marina
that had a porta potty, and Rachel said, hey, why don't you use that porta potty? And I felt a little weird just using it. And so I noticed that there was an ice cream cone, and earlier in the day Rachel had been talking about ice cream, and so I was like, oh, they have ice cream. We can share an ice cream, and then I'll go to the bathroom.
I will also preface it by saying we don't do well with dairy.
Oh, we weren't going to tell that part.
I like to tell that part.
Okay. Well, anyways.
It was delicious
later.
Either way.
That comes later.
So she went to the bathroom, and then I was like, oh, well, we're here. I might as well go. And I was in there, and I looked out the side window, and I was like, It was really gray, and I don't remember seeing gray when I went in there. And I stepped out, and I was like, oh, bugger. And just like in Michigan, the storms just come out of nowhere. Real fast and in a hurry. So we asked the kid if we could tie up real quick under one of the...
Literally the kid, 14-year-old kid.
Yeah, under one of the sheltered floating docks, just in time as the wind came in and it stormed real quick. We had ice cream, which was
so we went up to
free.
the lodge to sit, and we were talking to the older kids up at the lodge, and we ordered ice cream, and they were like, oh, are you paddling the river? And we're like, yeah. Going to New Orleans, they're like, oh, well, then your ice cream is no charge. So we got some free ice cream. It was delicious. I got a blueberry waffle cone was the flavor I got.
And I got mint. I don't know if they say Mackinac or Mackinac here. Because in Michigan we spell it both ways, but say Mackinac.
Anyways, mint fudge.
It was delicious.
Rachel got.
And it also gave us gas, but we were in the open air.
So we talked to them for a little bit until we had our ice cream done, and then by then the storm had passed, and so it really just worked out perfectly to be able to stop there.
'Cause had we been
Becker's Resort, in case anyone's in the area.
Yep, checking them out. They actually have quite a nice facility there. They got a pool and a bunch of fishing boats and cabins, and
they're literally a mile and a half off of Lake Winnie, and so
good fishing.
It seems like a pretty popular place to dock.
Yeah. yeah, once the storm cleared, we finally got in the boat and paddled up to the mouth of Lake Winnie here, and about a mile up the coast north. So we're heading in that direction probably for tomorrow. And camped here for the night. We met up with Les, who is the host here, who knows George and Louise. So we talked with him for a little bit, and we went out on our way, and he came down to the boat launch, and he had a box of wine for us. He says, "I cannot be outdone by George and Louise." So we got some styrofoam cups and 2 good cupfuls of Chardonnay from the box, and it was doable.
Yeah.
So we made a lot of friends today, and as you can tell, we're losing steam very fast because it was a long, tiring day, mostly in the sun
Wind.
and wind. And tomorrow is Lake Winnipegashish. I just counted on the map. If you go to the north way, which is probably what we're going to do given the prevailing winds, it's 16 miles.
Oh.
And if you go south, it's about 15. So, in the wind, it's supposed to be windy tomorrow, a little bit colder, like 50 something, 52. Really not so nice winds. And then we'll see. But, I mean, if we get that done tomorrow, unless it storms, if it's going to be rainy, we're not going to do it. Just because wet and cold is not going to work. But then we'll be on the river for a while. And we're heading down
It's
to...
the last big lake.
Yeah, there'll be some smaller ones, but this is by far the biggest. It's like, I don't know, 12 miles across or something like that, 10 miles. It's crazy. But then after that, we head down to Schoolcraft State Park, which is supposed to be pretty cool. And yeah, we'll see where day 6 takes us. Did we miss anything?
No, bedtime.
Good night.
Night.